Hi again, guys. Welcome back to Cooking with Pouncy. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel, which is called Cooking with Pouncy. So glad you're here and back. If this is not your first time, then welcome. If it is, if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button and subscribe. I would certainly appreciate that. Tonight I'm going to make some smothered pork chop. I know there's many ways to do it. We're going to cook with Pouncy tonight and do this quick and easy, very simple, very tasty as well. So I'm going to do the pork chop, and again I'm going to make some gravy, and they're going to be simmered and to doneness in the gravy. I'm going to be doing some canned black-eyed peas. I'll be telling you about those just briefly. I have a black-eyed pea video as well. Yes, these are canned, and there's a key to them being just as good as the ones that you soak overnight for like 5 days, okay? Just don't bring them to a boil. All right, I'm going to be sauteing my bacon for those. That's 2.5 slices of thick sliced bacon. I'm going to do a half of a Dahlia onion. You can use whatever onion you choose. It's the Dahlia season. That's why I'm going to be using that. Cheating again, guys. I'm going to be using these Main Street Bistro Steakhouse Yukon Gold potatoes, okay? And again, I'm saying I'm cheating. These are very, very good if you've never tried them. Follow the recipe. I would advise don't add any liquid, period. Just heat them up. If you want to put milk or butter in them thereafter, that's fine. Otherwise, I think they're just perfect, all right? I'll be using a little coarse ground black pepper to season my pork chops, and of course some salt. I'll be using some kitchen bouquet for color when I do my gravy. I'll be using chicken stock for my liquid in the gravy as well, all right, as I build that gravy up. I'll be doing this in oil. This is regular vegetable oil. And just a smidget of garlic. I don't know what a smidget means, but just a little smidget of minced garlic I'll have in there as well. So that's what I'm going to do, and you'll be walking through or seeing this whole process as it evolves here for this wonderful scrumptious. Okay, guys, we're going to get this black-eyed pea concoction started first. All right, so I'm going to slice up my bacon that I told you about, and again, this is thick sliced smoked bacon. You know, you can use whatever you want in your black-eyed peas, okay? I'm just going to be slicing this as you see here. Can never have too much bacon. Well, I always say. And I've only got one can, but I like the bacon component, and that's why I'm going to be putting 2 1/4 or 3/4 slices, I should say, of this bacon. I'm going to do that. It's Christmas. I'm going to be putting that in my pan here. Let's move that over there. Alright guys, we're going to dice this onion. This half of onion, I should say. That's going to go along with that bacon. It's a half of an onion. I don't think I'll use all of this. I don't need it for that one can of peas, and I think actually that's all I'm going to use right there. So let's say 1/4 of that onion. I don't want it too oniony, if that's a word. So let's do that. I don't want it to overpower anything there. In case you guys are wondering, also I did wash and sanitize that cutting board before I started cutting my onion, and I'll set that aside. I'm about ready to introduce this bacon into a hot saucepan. Be putting the onions, like I said, as well, to sweat those, get them sweat, and then the bacon will be completely done. And all we're going to do is heat these to very, very hot, not bring them to a boil. That's what spoils them. They turn to puree if you do that, okay? So now we're going to be moving to the range here with the bacon and the onions. It's already sizzling. We're going to let that bacon get nice and crisp. I'm going to put the onions in just as that bacon gets done, so the onions can do their thing, I think. I'm going to start seasoning our chops here. The black pepper, as I indicated earlier. This is coarse ground. And I'm not going to put a whole lot more on here. These are the little thin guys, so it certainly won't take that long to cook them as well. Alright, so a little black pepper. That's to taste. And I put a little salt on there too. Take my glasses off so I can see, and I always say people that wear glasses understand what that means when I have to take my glasses off so I can see. I'm just lightly seasoning them with salt here on both sides. I got a little pepper there as well, of course. And I'm going to do that with this one. I hear my bacon popping behind me. I didn't forget about it. I'm gonna stir that right now as it's sauteing. Certainly don't want to burn that bacon. All right, I'm done with the salt on here. I'm going to, not quite, am I, guys? I'm going to dredge these in flour. I don't know that I told you about the flour. I've got about a cup of flour on this platter that I'm going to dredge these in. This is about a cup of flour, and I'm going to just dredge these in this flour, kind of pressing it in there too, and that helps that pork chop to hang on to its size and density. If you press that in there, and it's okay if you just take that one now and put it here. Do the same thing with the other one. Again, I'm pressing that flour into it. And I know sometimes I've cooked these when I have the thicker pork chops without putting flour on them. You can certainly do that as well. Turn that down to medium. It was on high. Got it down to medium. So that's what we're going to do with that one. I'm a little confused here now. Again, pressing your chops down in there. I do the same thing when I have cube steaks or Swiss steak. Press the flour into it. And again, sometimes I don't put flour at all on it. So it depends on how I feel, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, you can put whatever you want to put on yours. These are cooking with Pouncy pork chop. It's going to be real quick too, again, because they're very thin and don't require a whole lot of pre-cooking. I'm not going to cook them done. And I'm going to use some of that same flour residual here for my gravy, and I'll be showing you that in a little bit as well. All right, the bacon's done. It's going to be cooking some more, but now I'm going to put my onions, the onions we just cut up, in here. And I got those in there. Stir it all around. And I just want the onions to get tender, or sweat, if you will. They'll be kind of sort of translucent. And there'll be no more boiling on that when I get done. Remember, we don't want to boil those beans. We just want to keep them hot. Okay, once we get them in there with the bacon and onions. All right, guys, onions are ready. Bacon's ready. I'm going to dump the entire can. Can you see that? I'm going to dump the entire can, including its juices, in there. I'm going to put a little bit of black pepper in there. No salt. It doesn't need any salt in it. We're going to sprinkle some of that black pepper in there. And guess what? I'm going to turn that off now because that's done. All I got to do is heat those up when my chops get ready. And when I say heat them up, I mean just heat them to hot. Do not bring them to a boil, guys, and that'll ruin them. Otherwise, they're going to taste a whole lot like beans that you soaked overnight. In fact, I'm so picky about that, I'm going to take that off of that burner because it's still very hot, all right? I'm going to set that there, and I'm going to take oil. And now we're going to do put it in this one, leave that one on, and turn the oven off. Closer to the camera, I think you see it. So, we're just going to put enough oil in here to coat the bottom of this pan. And it's like a 1/4 cup because I need a little oil for my gravy, right? So that's what I'm going to do with that, and that's why I got excess oil in there, so I can do that. So now we're going to brown these off, those ones that we dredged in flour. And that's what we're going to do here. You guys wondering, just like I was, are these pork chops going to fit in this pan? And you don't think I'd come on camera without having tried these pork chops in this little skillet so that I could put them in here, because they're not real big ones. And they're all in there, okay? They're all down, and I got them on about high because I want them to go ahead and I just want to brown them a little bit, okay? Get a little bit of sear on them. Not to make them done. Okay. Yeah, I got it on high right now. turn the heat down because I don't want it to get too hot before I start making the gravy and getting the chops out of there. That's what we're going to do here. That one wants to hang out, and I have to get that out later. Alright, telling you, this is what I've got here now so far, I guess, guys. Is these little pieces that you see right here, but again, I'm taking those out, right? Taking those out before I make the gravy. As you can see, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to skim it out of here just like I'm doing right here with my little spatula scraper. Hands clear now. Okay. Now we're going to do a gravy making operation here, guys. I need a little bit more oil in there, a little bit more. I know that just from sight. Not too much, a little bit more, because I just want the gravy to cover those little thin pork chops, okay? All right. And here comes that flour that I had left over that I talked about. I won't be using all of that either. It's going to be by sight here too, guys, okay? And I'm cooking this flour because in some of my other videos, and you guys probably know as well, flour is a raw product and you have to cook it. It should be cooked like I'm doing this to the point where it starts out to brown. And actually, that's it. That's all I need. All right. Actually, got to pour a little more oil in there because what I'm doing now actually is making a roux. And you want about a 50-50 when you're doing a roux. That is your flour and your butter or your oil. And I'm doing it by sight because I know what it's supposed to, the consistency is supposed to look like when you're doing this roux here. So a little bit more, just to absorb that flour. Not too much. Actually, I think it's only about a little more than a quarter of a cup, I think. Okay. And again, that flour is starting to brown, and that's what I want. That's what you'll want too when you make yours. If you've never made gravy from scratch, this is how you do it. That process I just did with the oil, of course, again, it's called a roux. I could go into where that name came from and all that stuff and all the other stuff it's called. But I don't have to do that at this point in time. And that's looking pretty good. You gotta keep your eye on this. You don't want to burn it. And guess who's burned it before? You only do that maybe one time because it smells like burnt peanuts when you burn that flour. And then you have to start all over again because you don't want your gravy looking like it's smelling like burnt peanuts. I'm about ready to start putting my chicken stock in there now. Yeah, this is just regular chicken stock. And just gives it a nice flavor, right? So, I'm going to turn my heat back up here. All right. So, now we're going to keep stirring as I do this so we don't wind up with lumpy gravy. You'll see the result of this. I'm pouring it in there quite vigorously, quite fast, and continuing to stir. I'm going to set that down for a second so I can really stir this. Make sure I get the corners. That's looking good. No lumps. Notice I never stop stirring it. You have to do that, otherwise you're going to have lumps in it. And this has no lumps in it. And again, because I'm continuously stirring it. I'm going to take my little rubber scraper here and make sure I get the corners here, because I could feel some flour in those corners. All right, so I'm going to get that out of there. Coming back again now with a little chicken stock. It's really thickening up now. So we don't want it that thick. So that's why I got the stock handy there, so I can just make it the consistency I want it. Add a little bit more. I need it. That's looking really good. I don't have to stir as vigorously now because it's not going to lump now. Alright, all of that stuff is already incorporated. very nice consistency. Here comes that little pinch of garlic I was talking about. I got a teaspoon here, and I'm going to put, gosh, maybe a quarter teaspoon, okay, of that minced garlic. I'm going to now introduce kitchen bouquet for color. There you go. Be careful with this. You can't take it out if you get too much in. I'm going to put some more chicken stock in there as well. So it's looking good. Looking good. I usually make more gravy than I need. I'm not doing it on this one here. And then I put my gravy, leftover gravy, in containers and refrigerate it for another meal that I'm going to prepare that I'll eat gravy with. So, and I'm going to add a little salt and pepper there now to taste. Okay. Salt. Careful on that salt. The pork chop's are already seasoned, as you know. I'm going to darken that a little bit more. I don't know whether you guys can see the true color, but I'm going to darken it just a little bit more. I'll be adding a little bit more chicken stock in there too. So it's a little thicker than I want it. Okay. A little darker, not much, a little bit. Don't really have to do this, but why not? Okay. Anyway. Okay, about ready to put those pork chop back in there. And the onions that I diced up earlier. Oh, sorry about that. Again, this will all be an ingredient list. This is the other portion of that quarter of an onion I put in there earlier, in the peas and bacon, okay? So, it's not going to take that long for this to cook either, because, as I said, those chops are very thin, and it won't take that long to get them cooked. I'm going to cover it, and just kind of let them simmer. I'm going to be tasting that gravy. So I do that. Looking good, guys. Looking good. There's no lumps in it. I've peeled away that blood that was on those chops. Unsightliness of it, but you can see that's really nice. There's no lumps in that gravy. That's a piece of onion that fell off. Okay, and there's some garlic flakes in there. That's looking good. Looking really good, okay? A little bit more salt, a little bit. And again, that's the taste. That's all I'm going to put in there now. I'm ready to put the chop back in there, cover it. I'll be going to simmer that for about 20 minutes, maybe 25. Here's that residual stuff I was telling you about. I don't want to call it blood again. That's what it is, though. I'm going to get these back in there, under the gravy, as you see here. Any juice I got, but a little bit here, you put that in there too. Okay. Now I think that's all I need to do with that. Just to make sure I get it all under the gravy. Get them all under the gravy so they can just simmer. And again, for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, these things are going to be nice and tender. Here it is, guys. Let those go night-night until they do their thing, all right? I'm going to turn it down a little bit down to medium-high. And just leave it alone for now, okay? Be back with you in a little bit. Guys, I'm back with you for a moment. We are ready here. These have been cooking for 20 minutes. I've not turned them at all. I didn't have to turn them, but anyway, they were covered, as you saw earlier. And they are just perfect at this point in time. All right, so these are ready to plate. My mashed potatoes are nice and hot. You have to be careful with these as well because you can burn them if you don't continue to stir them. And they're nice and piping hot. The peas are also ready. I had those on medium, and as you can see, the steam coming off of them. First thing you can do though, guys, like I said, is do not bring them to a boil because you're going to puree them and you don't want to do that, okay? So, I'm going to be shutting everything down here. That's what I'm just doing here. That's off. All that's off. One of the other things I did too, and I usually do, guys, and I'm going to tell you this, I heat my plates if I can. I have the opportunity to do so anytime. And this is just a kind of one of Pouncy, Cooking with Pouncy tips of the day. If you're doing something in your oven and you want the residual heat to heat your plates, your dinner plates or whatever, just throw them in the oven. I turned it actually on to 175 just to get these hot. And your guests, dinner guests, breakfast guests, family, will appreciate hot food, okay? So, that's what I did, and I'm going to take the dishes out for the black peas. I'm still trying to find the rest of the dishes. I'm still trying to manipulate this with these clumsy gloves on. Those are nice and hot, 175. Yeah. All right, so I'll be right back with you as we plate these up, guys. Okay, all right, guys, let's do this. Again, I don't recommend you adding any liquid to your potatoes unless you want to. They have a nice consistency. You see that? Nice consistency. I want it to drop off so I can show it to you. Okay? And any more liquid in there will make them runny, and you don't want them runny either. Okay? Okay? All right. I think that's enough for my wife right there. Okay? All right. These turned out really good. They look really, really good. All right? My plates are nice and hot, as I indicated earlier. I'm going to put that one right there. Don't be sloppy now, Pouncy. And we're going to put this one right here. Okay. And I'm going to put this one here. This one here, right here. They're nice and tender too. Right there. And we're going to take this little guy and put it right here. Okay. That's looking pretty good to me, guys. And before that gravy dries on my plate, I need to get that off because that's how I do it, okay? All right. Okay. I cut up some scallions and I'll just show you what I do. I'll just sprinkle them over the top of that. I'll put a little gravy on the potatoes here, and a little smidget right there, and I'll do a little smidget over here as well. Guys, that looks good, doesn't it? I'm just saying. And we'll take our scallions and we'll sprinkle some of these over the top. Not only for color, but a little flavor as well. And it come together really well, guys. That's come together really well. Okay, maybe put a little gravy on the chops as well, right through there. Okay, you can do yours like you want, guys. I'm just kind of messing around here, okay? All right, there we do some peas. Again, I did not bring these to a boil. They are still whole. That's what I mean when I say don't puree them. That bacon looking good in there, and so are those onions. Oops. Put a little juice in there too. Pot liquor. You guys know what pot liquor is? I don't know what pot liquor. I've heard that terminology. All right. I think that's about it, guys. And then we're gonna set that aside. Okay, guys. This meal took less than an hour, or maybe right at an hour. Get done chopping and dicing and all that sort of stuff and opening this, that, and the other. So within an hour, this entire meal was ready and prepared, ready to go to the table. And I think it looks very, very good. Plates are nice and hot, not too hot to handle, of course. And that's what the finished product looks like. We're going to enjoy this for supper. Thank you so much again for subscribing, and I certainly hope you do, to my channel, Cooking with Pouncy. And share this with others. Please hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. And tell me what you think as well. And again, we're going to have this for supper, and I hope when you make it, you'll enjoy it for yourself and your family as well. Thank you again, and good night.